When one is horrible, it means that there is nothing that is objectively good and progressive that will come out of such individual.
If you have been convicted of an offense before and you have been pardoned, and anybody is trying to bring that up against you and calling you a convict, you have the power to sue that person for defamation.
Justice must not only be done, but it must be seen by all to have been manifestly done.
Every citizen has a right and every citizen has an obligation.
That a plea of ultra-virus acquit or convict is very different from the plea of pardon.
Trespass is that act that interferes with the peaceful.
No matter how minute this,
right? No matter how minute.
Who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Hello out there, you are welcome to another fresh episode of the program Justify Nigeria on ACNN television reaching from Abuja. On today's episode, our subject of discussion will be on the legal consequences of extrajudicial killings. My name is Anozechi Nomso, your anchor. An extrajudicial killing, also known as extrajudicial execution or extra-legal killing, is the killing of a person or group of persons by someone, group of other people, or governmental authorities without the sanction or order of any judicial precedence or legal process. Some weeks ago, precisely on Tuesday, 28th of September 2021, the killing of Dr. Chika Akunyele, the husband of former and late Director General of National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, and also former Minister of Information, Professor Dora Akunyele, went viral. The assassination of Dr. Chika Akunyele occurred when he was coming back from an event organized by the University of Nigeria Alumni Association, UNAA, in honor of his late wife, Professor Dora Akunyele. He was intercepted and shot by 3 unknown gunmen at a farm boy in Anambra State of Nigeria. So many legal issues and questions begging for answers have arisen from this tragic and heartbreaking incident. Is the assassination of Dr. Chika Akunyele a type of extrajudicial killings? What can or may not constitute extrajudicial killings? Are extrajudicial killings the same thing as murder-in-law? Can political assassination by government or person be referred to as extrajudicial killings? What is the position of law? As regards to jungle justice, are there legal consequences of extrajudicial killings? With me in the studio to address all this is Barrister Patrick Peter. Barrister Patrick Peter is a partner in the law firm of Eric Ibe and Associates and also a member of the Unity Bar here in Abuja. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Barrister Pat, you agree with me that nobody is happy in the country because of many such killings happening?
Not at all.
And is so disheartening. And just take it from there. What is when we talk about extrajudicial killings? You agree with me that there are many viewers out there who might not know, who are not lawyers like you, who might not know what extrajudicial killings is all about. In clear terms, just explain what extrajudicial killing is all about.
Oh, thank you very much. You have already started by giving the definition, the meaning of extrajudicial killing, which is in order, which is quite right. However, let me add to that. In a simple term, extrajudicial killing is an act of taking the life of a person or group of persons outside of the due process of law, outside of judicial process. For example, when a person or group of persons carry out the act of taking somebody's life without the proceedings that are required to be conducted in court. They don't even go to court at all. They don't involve the law enforcement agents at all. There is no process. So when someone constitutes himself an accuser, a judge, and an executioner, all at the same time, arbitrarily taking another person's life, or summarily, that is extrajudicial killing. There is no law anywhere in the world, not only in Nigeria, that supports that kind of act. to take human life. Human life is so precious that the most fundamental of all human rights is the right to life.
And I think it's even enshrined and contained
in the Nigerian Constitution, the 1999 Constitution as amended, Section 33. And it even goes beyond that. The whole world recognizes it. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 3.
So it's not the issue of Nigeria affair.
It is not only, no, because the life of human being is so precious. And it comes as the foremost and the most fundamental of all fundamental rights.
What do you mean by that statement? It's number one.
It is number one. Anywhere in the world, not only in Nigeria. Apart from the United Nations, I can give you another example like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Article 6. All of them are in consensus as to what human life should stand for, that no person should be denied or deprived of his life. Everybody, every human being has a right to life. It's so fundamental.
And I can also remember the Declaration of the United States during their independence said that all human beings are born equal and they are endowed by the Creator with some elemental rights.
Yes.
Among them is life.
The right is inherent in every human being. And the right is inalienable. It cannot be taken away.
Okay, that's the meaning of that inalienable just spoke now. That it cannot be taken away.
Arbitrarily. It cannot just be taken away at the pleasure of anybody. No.
So this is what extrajudicial killing is all about.
This is what extrajudicial killing is all about. Outside of the proceedings, the requirements of law, there is no observance of due process of law.
Thank you very much. Now, Barrister Pat, oftentimes we hear people talk about murder, like legal professionals like you. We can also hear political assassination, and oftentimes you hear people, they say, we caught him stealing, so we have to burn him alive and all that, which people refer to as jungle justice. My question here now, extrajudicial killings, are they the same thing? Is it the same thing with murder? Is it the same thing with jungle justice or political assassination, or they are different things?
Well, to put it simply, all of the terms used have to do with taking human life. Exactly. So it is just a matter of nomenclature.
And semantics.
All right? So whether you call it extrajudicial, jungle justice, murder,
political assassination.
However, in legal terms or parlance, there are certain words that have been used, all right, in the acts, in the laws, that relate to criminal acts of taking somebody's life, like murder, like culpable homicide, punishable with death. All right?
So briefly just explain that. It's not our fulcrum of a discussion, but you can just brief to educate. When you talk about murder and culpable homicide, what does that mean?
It's all about the unlawful taking of human life.
Okay.
All right?
Which is recognized by our law.
Yes, it's recognized by our law.
Okay.
So the act of taking human life in whatever form or manner is unlawful, is not allowed. So they are all different aspects of extrajudicial killing because due process
was not
followed. They are all different terms used to describe extrajudicial killing. They are all extrajudicial.
So whether it's an unknown gunman that shot somebody or maybe bandits, or provided it was not through that legal process, it is extrajudicial killing.
It's extrajudicial. You can call it the other way, you can call it extrajudicial. They are all related to the same thing.
Same thing.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now, this man, Dr. Chika Konyele, in Anambra State, coming back from collecting an award in honor of his late wife, was intercepted and shot by unknown gunmen. The question here now, in as much as it's with a heavy heart, that act, does it amount to extrajudicial killing? If yes or no, why?
Okay, thank you very much. Indeed, as you rightly said, it is with a heavy heart that we have to respond to this because of what happened. It's very painful, very sad. It's a loss not only to the family but to the entire nation.
That's right.
Yes. We are all affected. It is an unfortunate act of taking the life of a personality such as
Dr. Chike.
Dr. Chike Akunyili. It's very bad. So I permit me also to express my deep sympathy to the family and to the entire nation. It's a great loss.
Indeed.
And back to our course of discourse. It is an act of extrajudicial killing.
Why do you say so?
It is an act of extrajudicial killing because due process was not followed. And not just that due process was not followed. Think about this. There was no allegation of any criminal act against him. He was not charged of any offense. Before that, those are the foundations for initiating due process of law. So there was nothing like that. Okay, all we heard was that he was shot. He was shot. All right, the law has nothing against him.
Not at
An
all.
innocent person was just shot, gunned down, as the Americans would put it. You know, so it's an act of extrajudicial killing. The law does not permit that the act of taking anybody's life in that manner. The law does not permit it. It is an act of extrajudicial killing.
So, Barrister Pat, no matter whatever the disease must have done, if it's not followed through due process, there is no reason to take his life at all.
There is no reason whatsoever.
Because that's the point you're making.
That's the point I'm making.
No matter, even if what he must have done is so grievous that there's... Okay, let's see, for example, now, Mr. A was caught stabbing somebody. And, you know, the mob or the angry mob, they are so angry. So, at that particular instant, that Mr. A that just stabbed somebody today, can they now be justified to kill him?
No, they cannot.
Is that what you're saying?
They cannot be justified. They are never justified.
But that Mr. A just killed somebody.
Yes. Regardless of that, his life also matters. They are not to take the law into their own hands. They are not to be the accuser, the judge, and the executioner all at the same time. It is not allowed. It is not allowed. I have personally witnessed jungle justice. All right? And it is not allowed. Jungle justice is not the solution. Because number one, the act of carrying out jungle justice will not bring back the life of the other person, of the deceased, who has been extrajudicially killed. It will never bring back his life. And that is not a way to get justice.
Justice.
No. It is not a way to get justice.
It's not the way to get justice when you see yourself committing extrajudicial killings. When we come back from break, Barrister Pat is going to be telling us the legal consequences that arises from extrajudicial killings. Please do join us again. Hi, you're welcome to The Speaker on ACNN television, reaching you from Abuja. The Speaker is a platform by which we treat and discuss certain things happening in the nation. My name is Anna Zechinom. So on today's segment, we are going to be looking at living Nigeria or killing Nigeria. The word living may be defined as the state or condition of being alive. It is the experience of dwelling in a wonderful environment where life itself is indeed worth living for. When an environment is worthy of living, it means that such an environment is endowed with life and devoid of any sort of rancor, fear, and insecurity of life and property. Killing, on the other hand, exists when there is murder, genocide, homicide, and dehumanization of persons by a fellow man. In a nation where there is killing, there is loss of lives, lack of development, epileptic and stagnated economy. When you look at Nigeria today, you will agree with me that we are living in a killing Nigeria. In a situation where extrajudicial killings is now the national pledge and anthem of Nigeria, reveals to us that we are living in a killing Nigeria. Where a 36-year-old pilot, Captain Abdulkarim Naala, the oldest son of Senator Bala Ibn Naala, was tied and strangled in his room in Malali, GRA in Kaduna State, is a perfect picture that showcases that we are living in a killing Nigeria. Where a 78-year-old pioneer provost of College of Education, Technical Kaba, Chief Julius Oshadu, who was adopted some days ago at an Ekwa church service in Kaba, Kogi State, died in rescue mission between the vigilante and the kidnappers, is another perfect example that establishes the fact that we are living in a killing Nigeria. Where Alhaji Muazu Abubakar, the father of Zamfara State Speaker, Nasiru Muazu Magaya, died inside bandits' enclave, is another affirmation that we are living in a killing Nigeria. The assassination of Dr. Chika Konyele at a Afompo market in Anambra State, while coming back from an event organized by the University of Nigeria Alumni Association, UNAA, in honor of his late wife, Professor Dora Konyele, is a clearer pointer to the fact that we are living in a killing Nigeria. Nigeria just celebrated her 61-year independence in October 1, 2021. At 61, gunmen attacked Department of State Service DSS and Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC offices in Anambra State. At 61, women still dig with their bare hands before they can get water to drink and to take their bath in Nigeria. At 61, Nigeria is still living in enmity, division, and tribalism. At 61, Nigeria derives joy in shedding and spilling of blood of innocent citizens. At 61, Nigeria is very unwilling and not interested in naming financiers and sponsors of bandits and Boko Haram. At 61, $1 is more than 550 naira. At 61, Nigerian government is still debating on whether or not to declare bandits, killer henchmen, Boko Haram, and unknown gunmen who are wasting innocent and precious citizens and destroying properties as terrorists. What a killing Nigeria. How can it be that at 61 years of independence, Nigeria is still passing a legislation on how to better the lives of cows? How can it be that at 61 years of independence, the Nigerian Minister of Finance have changed to be the Honorable Minister of Loans and Borrowings? How can it be that at 61 years of independence, Nigeria still suffers from an excruciating pain of hardship? How can it be that at 61 of independence, Nigeria reward and pay bandits a huge ransom for killing and murdering people? How can it be that at 61 years of independence, Nigeria demonizes her saints and canonizes her demons? How can it be that at 61 years of independence, Nigeria cannot conduct a credible, free and fair election? How can it be that at 61 years of independence, Nigeria cannot experience peace at the east, rest at the west, north and south are not at ease? All this can only be because we are living in a killing Nigeria. Today, it is the killings of Captain Abdurrahim Na'ala, Chief Julius Oshadumo, Alhaji Muazu Abubakar, Dr. Chika Konyele, and thousands of innocent Nigerians that have been extrajudicially killed and eliminated. Who will be the next, myself or you? I can hear someone saying, God forbid. But God can only forbid when our leaders in government rise up and do that which is good and right. God can only forbid when we shall start electing leaders instead of electing cheaters. God can only forbid when we shall speak the truth no matter whose ox is God. God can only forbid when we stop electing hyenas and lions to take care of the goats. God can only forbid when our political leaders will stop appointing goats to look after yams. God can only forbid when Nigerian politicians in leadership position will stop directing political cows to take care of our national collective grasses. God can only forbid when we shall stop electing a lover of cakes to oversee the state of our national cake. God can only forbid when we shall stop electing non-democratic to saddle upon our dividend of democracy. God can only forbid when we all shall cease to be co-authors of our own misfortune. In order to justify Nigeria, I therefore speak. Until Nigeria stops celebrating shadows and wake up from her slumber to face the realities that all is not well with Nigeria, both the leaders and the led, ruling party and opposition, go back to the drawing board of unity and positively put heads together in order to identify the natural cause of Nigerian problems and endeavor to solve same without further delay and hindrance, so that together we can build a strong nation that is free from fear, pains, rancor, and extrajudicial killing. We shall continue to live in a killing Nigeria instead of a living Nigeria. My name is Anozie Chinomso. I just want to speak. Glad to know that you are still there, and we are still here with Barrister Parts in the studio. Barrister Parts, before we went for break, you are trying to justify the act that his life must have to be taken by force. Even if you see the person, or you must have caught him committing even murder. That right. You cannot just take the person's life, because someone's life is precious, and through extrajudicial killings or jungle justice, you cannot even get justice. Now, my question is, are there consequences or legal punishment or penalty in extrajudicial killings?
There are. Okay. Heavy consequences. Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Because in the same way that manner that the deceased was killed, and the accused person, the person that you are accusing of killing the deceased now, you also will be accused of killing him, regardless of the fact that you caught him in the act of killing another person. Okay, so you are going to be accused of murder, culpable homicide, punishable with death. And if you are also convicted, you are going to face the death penalty. All right? So there are so many consequences. You can be convicted and be sentenced to life imprisonment. It depends on
the gravity,
you know, and how it is established in court. Okay, I do not want to go into the legal jargons of the gravities, you know, of offenses. Even when somebody is caught in the act of killing someone, he may end up not being convicted for murder.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Very much possible.
You know, yes. Because there are so many factors involved, in the sense that, for example, you know, eventually the court will have to look at the evidence that is presented in order to prove the guilt of that person. Okay? And it is not enough for somebody to have taken the life of another person. It's possible that the person did not have the intention of taking the life in the first place.
And it's a defense.
Yes. Okay? The intention must be there. What if the person was not in his right senses? What if the person
but the disease is dead already.
Oh, yes. And that is why nobody has the right to take arbitrarily the life of another person.
That's the subject of this discussion. That's the
okay?
sense. Yes.
Yes, that is why due process must be followed. You cannot take the law into your hands to take another person's life simply because you caught him in the act of killing another person's life. He may even be someone who was not in his own right state of mind when he committed that act. He may be someone who might be mentally deranged. Okay? There is what is called defense of insanity. And if he can successfully put it up, he will not be convicted.
For murder?
You know? So, yes. So he was not in his right thinking mind as a person when he carried out that act. So why should you? You have no reason whatsoever. Okay? And if you are not able to put up that kind of defense, it will not play out well for you. It's going to end up badly for you. So ultimately, you are going to either face conviction, if you are found guilty, to face the conviction of death sentence, that's the capital punishment, or life imprisonment. You know, so these are the consequences.
There's also the one you talked about, manslaughter or something like that.
Yes.
Okay,
yes, it's a lesser part of taking another person's life. If someone is not convicted of murder, okay, he may be convicted of manslaughter. The difference is in the intention.
Okay.
The difference is in
just
the
like you rightly
intention.
explained, maybe the person is not in his right frame of mind,
Yes.
or maybe provocation, or
Yes.
maybe, you know.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And now, before we just have a few minutes to end the program, my question here now is just back to Chike Akonyele, and the families now he left behind and other people. Is there any legal proceedings they can take to get justice?
Of course, we have the judicial system. The justice system is there. Okay, the law enforcement agents are there. The police are there to carry out investigation and arrest any possible suspect and follow the process. Okay, and eventually justice can be obtained for the family of the deceased. All right, and permit me to address this. It is rather unfortunate that the justice system, particularly in Nigeria, is being faulted. People have lost confidence in the justice system, and I have to say this now, that this is also one of the reasons why people carry out jungle justice, extrajudicial killing, why people take the law into their hands, because they have lost confidence in the justice system. Yes. And so, not only in Nigeria, all over the world, you know, when people lose confidence in the justice system, they take the law into their hands and begin to act that way. So, my advice to the general public is that...
Yes, I was about asking you that. Please, what's your advice to the general public?
Yes, my advice to the general public is
even to judiciary, just mentioned, because there must be a way out. Yes. Not just pointing out the fault that the masses have lost confidence. What would be your general advice? Go ahead.
Yes. To the general public, the justice system is still there. Justice is still attainable. All right? Do not lose confidence in the system. However, if for any reason you have gone through the process and you still feel that you do not have the justice that you deserve, there are other ways. For example, as I earlier mentioned, the right to life is so fundamental that even the United Nations recognizes it. We have so many charters, you know, on
all over the world.
All over the world on human rights. Okay, the United Nations has gone as far as having a commission on for people's rights.
That's great.
Yes,
that's great.
There is a special rapporteur appointed for the purpose of carrying out a fact-finding mission where the right to life and other fundamental rights generally are being violated without, you know, are being violated or taken arbitrarily. So now they take petitions not from the government of state nations or member nations, but from civil society organizations, from individuals as well. So if you believe
that Nigeria didn't give you that, you cannot.
Yes,
that's what
you
you're
can
saying.
go
Okay,
there.
it's a universal thing.
It is universal. Okay, and of course, if they will carry out the act of doing the fact-finding of whether the right to life, you know, was not properly investigated as per when it was taken, and if Nigerian government, for example, cannot give them a convincing answer or good response, you know, there will be consequences for the nation as a whole, at large.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so that is another option. Okay, but I must say this also. I'm a Christian. Okay, the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Do not take the law into your hands. And ultimately, God Almighty says, "Vengeance is mine." All right? If you do not get justice from the system of the world, you will get justice from God. No matter what happens, it is not by taking another person's life that you will get the life of your relations back. It will never bring that person's life back.
Thank you very much. And of course, when they are looking for lawyers, any lawyer can do it for them.
Oh, yes.
And of course, you'll be available, brother, if anybody consults you for that.
Very well.
Very wonderful. It is indeed true that even if you cannot get justice from the system of the world, that God Almighty can still give you justice, for you have no reason at all to kill anybody. That is from Barrister Patrick. I want to appreciate you for coming today. Thank you very much. Out of your busy schedule, you're able to find time. Please, when next we call upon you, please find time to oblige us. Thank you very much. The killing of a man by a fellow man without court order or going through a legal process cannot be justified in any way. The issue of jungle justice was carried out on a fellow man by an angry mob for whatever the victim must have done without the pronouncement of a court is legally wrong. It is therefore advised that people must endeavor to desist from this wicked, villain, and obnoxious act of taking the life of a fellow man, because that is unjust, unnatural, unscrupulous, and illegal. Remember the word of God in Genesis chapter 9, verse 6, and I quote, "Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed, for in the image of God he made man," unquote. It is on this note that the presenter and the entire crew of Justify Nigeria wish to condole and sympathize with the families of late Dr. Chike and Professor Dora Akonyele for this sorrowful and heartbreaking incident that befell them. Our heart also goes to the families of those who have been extrajudicially and unjustly killed in Nigeria and all over the world. While praying God to grant the souls of the faithful departed a perfect rest, we also pray that God will give the families that left behind the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. Never you forget that the evil that men do lives with them and after them. For whatever a man sows, that he must certainly reap. This is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of Justify Nigeria. Join us same time, same station on another fresh episode of the program. Until then, this is Anozichi and I'm so wishing you the very best and bye for now. When one is horrible, it means that there is nothing that is objectively good and progressive that will come out of such individual.
If you have been convicted of an offense before and you have been pardoned, and anybody is trying to bring that up against you and calling you a convict, you have the power to sue that person for defamation.
Justice must not only be done, but it must be seen by all to have been manifestly done.